Welcome back to Unplugged Robotics by Nond. Today I am back with a new activity. It is the Flowchart board game level 2. This activity will be slightly more challenging than our Flowchart board game level 1 and will build on the knowledge from previous activities. This activity aims to make students remember flowchart symbols and each symbol's application. The Flowchart board game will allow students to learn by playing a simple and fun board game. Firstly, we will need to gather the following materials. 1. The board game. We will need a board game template and any material to strengthen and turn the template into a board game. 2. The card templates. We will need an input-output card template and a decision card template. 3. Glue. 4. Scissors. And finally, all of the templates can be found on my website and the link is on screen now. This activity is like a DIY activity, so it can be easily made at home. First, we will need to print out the board game templates and the deck of cards. The deck of cards will need to be printed double-sided and the template has been designed to allow double-sided printing. Cut out the board game and the deck of cards. Stick the board game onto the backboard. Now we are good to go. Before we get into the action, we will need to prepare the following. We will need counters and a dice, and also teachers will need to prepare a list of 10 to 15 questions about anything relating to flowcharts and robotics. I have added sample questions on my website and here is the link. Just like Flowchart board game level 1, this board game is played just like any other board game. Players will begin at the start and the first player to reach the finish line is, as always, the winner. However, what is different is that all the positions on the board game have been replaced by flowchart symbols. Each of the symbols have a designated task. Start would refer to the start line. Process would require the player to wait for their next turn to roll the dice. Input-output would require the player to draw a card from the input-output deck, with each of the cards referring to a specific numbered color. Decision would require the player to draw a card from the decision deck and answer the question on the card. And last but not least, end is the finish line. As we have multiple ways of reaching the finish line, the different pathways are color-coded, as highlighted on screen now. On screen now is a demonstration of how to play this board game. Here, the player rolls a 4. They move 4 positions and reach process. Since they are on process, they will have to wait for their next turn to roll the dice again. If the player lands on the input-output, they will have to draw a card from the input-output deck. For example, the player draws a forward 3 card and so they will have to move 3 positions forward, following the numbers in black as they are currently on this sequence. However, if the player draws a backward 2 card, they will have to move 2 positions backward on the colored number sequence that they are on. If the player draws a go to blue 10, the player will have to find the number 10 in blue and move there. If the player draws a go to red 7, the player will have to find the number 7 in red and move there. The fact that players will have to draw a card when at input-output will represent inputting into a program, similar to the function of input-output in a program. The path that each player follows will depend on the colored numbered sequence that they are on, and they will have to follow the arrows between each symbol on that sequence. If the player reaches a decision block, the player will have to draw a card from the decision deck and answer the question on the card. If they answer it correctly, they will move in the yes direction, which is like moving along a ladder in Snake and Ladders, or in short, a shortcut. If they answer it incorrectly, they will have to move in the no direction. Here, the player has drawn a card from the deck and needs to answer question 1. The numbers on each card will refer to the list of questions prepared. For example, the player will need to answer the first question. If they answer it incorrectly, they will move in the no direction and will continue on the numbered sequence in black. In this case, the player has answered the question correctly and will move in the yes direction. Here, the player is moving from the numbered sequence in black to the numbered sequence in red. This activity will help students and beginners remember flowchart symbols, as they will see examples of each symbol's usage within the board game. In addition, the decision questions will allow students to be introduced to further details of flowcharts and robotics. I hope that this activity will help beginners in robotics to develop their flowchart skills and a broader knowledge of the subject, and most importantly, to have fun. This is Unplugged Robotics by Nond, and I hope that my activities have been effective in teaching robotics, especially in younger audiences. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in a future video.